You should absolutely be familiar with the basics of MLA citation, but once familiar with the basics, no one expects you to memorize all of it. I certainly never had to. There are lots of ways to make your life easier when you need to cite an MLA format, especially when you're generating the works cited entries. Of course, you've got your handbook, and you can look it up in the book, the kind of source you want to cite, and figure it out the old-fashioned way with paper. There's also quite a few citation helpers out there. In fact, Microsoft Word, your common word processor, has a citation helper built into it, but I don't recommend that you use that one. It's overly complicated and isn't entirely accurate. There are some online tools as well. I like Son of Citation Machine, which you can find at citationmachine.net, right? And once you go to citationmachine.net, rather, you can see that there are several different formats that you can choose to cite. So this isn't just good for English; it's also good for your psychology class or your history class. Of course, we want MLA. It's very important that we make sure that we are getting an MLA citation as opposed to something else. So we're going to click on MLA. Once we click on MLA, and it tells us again up at the top, we can confirm in several different spots that we're in the MLA section. We've got two ways to pick the kind of source we need to cite. Here on the left-hand side of the screen, sources are divided out between paper sources and then non-paper sources. So you've got your books, magazines, newspapers, traditionally on paper, and then things like online or CDs, DVDs, things that aren't on paper. And I like to use the interface here in the center, which is also another way to choose what sources you want to cite, but it's print and non-print combined here in the center. And it's very important that you're going to pick the type of source that you want to cite and you be accurate, whether that's just a book or a compiled work, also known as an anthology. An example of that would be your EN 113 textbook or your EN 123 textbook. Both of those are anthologies. Usually, though, when you're citing the anthology, unless you're citing something that the editor has written, you're going to want to cite what's Son of Citation Machine calls a chapter, or an article, or a work in an anthology. That would be like a poem, an essay, a short story. You want to cite the author of that poem or essay or short story instead of the whole book. Right? You can also, if you're looking to cite just a regular web document, something off the web, you've got that here. Journal articles, magazine articles, newspaper articles, databases, which is what we're going to be using here in a minute. We're going to cite something from one of our databases provided by Pinnell Library, the New Mexico Junior College Library. You can also cite images, of course, and video, music, TV, radio. If there is a way to use it or refer to it in a paper, there's a way to cite it. So don't overlook those non-print, non-written sources. Films, music, images all need to be cited as well. You can even cite social media like online discussion boards, letters, emails, lectures, blogs, interviews, and podcasts. The only word of caution there would be you want to keep in mind what the assignment is and probably use good quality professional sources. Lectures, you can find some good lectures on the internet sometimes, or maybe cite something in a lecture that you've actually attended in a class. Alright, so once you have your source and you know what kind of source you're going to be citing, go ahead and identify that and click on it. It's important that you get the right one. Again, I'm going to click on database because we are going to cite something from JSTOR, which is a database of articles, professional articles out of journals that is provided by Pinnell Library, the New Mexico Junior College Library online. So I'm going to click database. And once I click that, it's going to give me a form to fill out. And again, I want to make sure that you're getting the MLA version of everything. And now you've got this nice form to fill out. And so what we're going to do is go over here in another tab to JSTOR, where I've got an article on Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart pulled up. And JSTOR has a lot of stuff on literature, history, humanities, and things like that. What we're going to do here is we'll notice that there's tools, and let's say that I'm working on a paper that involves Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart. I want to cite something out of this article. I'm going to paraphrase it or quote it in my paper. So I'm going to need an in-text citation. I'm going to need a works cited entry. So I'm going to go ahead and click on View Citation. And JSTOR is really nice. It gives you all the information that you need to cite the article right here, but it's important to note that JSTOR does not give you an MLA citation or an APA citation. This is a generic format that JSTOR has invented, just collecting the information that you need to cite in a convenient place. So what we need to do if we want to use this article in a paper is to take this information in this item citation here, put it over into Sun Citation Machine so we can get ourselves an MLA citation for our works cited page. And just so you didn't have to watch me type, I went ahead and got everything into Sun Citation Machine and just filled out the information that was asked for. Do want to point out that there are a couple of different options here that you want to keep your eye out for. The medium there, you can choose if it's a database on a CD or just a database, you can choose that. Our database is on the web, so I'm going to go ahead and leave the medium as a web database. The date retrieved, it automatically puts the date, today's date as I'm making this video, whatever the day it is you're using. If you want to change that, if you got the article a week ago or whatever, you can do that. Finally, you'll note that in MLA citations, the URL is optional. It's optional. Usually you are going to omit the URL. You would only include it if the source is somehow difficult to find. You couldn't find it in Google, or we just thought that people are going to have a hard time finding it. For database sources, we've got the author, we've got the title of the original publication, we've got the title of the database. We really don't need the URL, and I usually recommend leaving the URL out. Okay. So now all we need to do is hit Make Citation, and there we go. Right here in the box we've got our works cited entry for this article. We can highlight it, copy it, and paste it into our works cited on our works cited page. We do want to make sure that it is in the correct font once we paste it into our paper. That's Times New Roman 12-point font. We also want to make sure that we maintain the hanging indentation, that everything looks nice, and we've got the hanging indentation, which means the first line is not indented in the entry, but every line after that is. So when we paste that into our paper, we want to make sure that it's still nicely formatted and that the italics are still there and everything when we get there. If not, you might have to change it up a little bit. Right, but there we have a nice citation. The in-text citation, don't recommend that you use those. In-text citations are really easy, and even Sun Citation Machine even gives you a warning that there are many variations. This is not a usable in-text citation, because in an in-text citation you are not going to be citing the entire article, which is what that citation is. You're going to be citing a particular page that you are paraphrasing or quoting from, so you could copy and paste this in your paper if you wanted. Just make sure that you are excuse me, that you are citing only the page that you are actually using, and not, as it is here, again, the entire article. Right? So once you've done that and you've copied and pasted everything in your paper, you can go back and pick another kind of source. And maybe this time you need a book or a web image or whatever, and it just makes citing your putting together your works cited a whole lot easier than doing it the old-fashioned way of looking it up in the book. Right? Hope you guys find that helpful. Hope it saves you some time and makes it easier to get good, accurate works cited entries so you can get good grades on your papers. Have a good day.